Luna has really taken off to a whole new level, but is now the right time to buy when the rocket has already taken off? Well, towards the end of the video, I'm going to show you a crypto that's high cap, low risk, that is ready to take off, that hasn't really taken off. But again, it's always probabilities and never certainty. So if you like today's content, like, subscribe, hit the bell notification. If you don't know me by now, my name is Jiggy. I'm the award-winning author of The Extraordinary New Venture Capital Opportunity, How to Invest Like a Pro. Been featured in the best-selling book, High Probability Trading Strategies, back in 2008, where I only used to focus on trading currencies, but now exclusive on cryptocurrency. So let's dive straight in. Now I was following Luna incredibly tightly, especially back in May last year, May, June, July last year. And what you'll see here is we did this video and it was an update because we were trading this with futures, with leverage. And what we said back in May, this is the 31st of May. This video is August 2021. So we're talking, what, 4, 5, 6 months ago. We said Luna looks like it's making an A, B, C correction of a wave 2. And we should anticipate a movement to the upside because after a wave 2 comes a wave 3 and there's particular ratios. So we're going to reference this because what we're going to talk about is identifying the rocket ship before it takes off. It's all well and good doing it in hindsight. You can't make money in hindsight. You can only make it when you do it ahead of time. But again, remembering that we can only do probabilities and never certainty. So we're going to look at Luna as the example, and then we're going to look at what is looking like Luna in terms of from a pattern buying and selling behavior perspective that hasn't taken off yet. That's what we're going to look at in today's video. So let's now dive straight into a live chart with Luna. So this is Luna now, right? This is important to note, right? Luna right now, but what we just looked at was when Luna was down here, right? Really, really, really important. We was looking at Luna down here, right? And now it's taken off. Yeah, really, really important. Again, when we're looking at this, we're looking at it down here, right? Really important. So what we want to look at is, let's just take the data back, is how did we identify this in advance? What are we looking at? So everything I'm going to cover is actually in my Fibonacci and Elliott Wave course. Like literally, I break everything down that we're going to cover today in detail in the Fibonacci section, lesson by lesson, literal bite-sized chunks and understanding retracements. And if you want to take my free Elliott Wave Fibonacci Masterclass, is in the link below. We're doing a phenomenal offer right now. It's normally $997 for the course. Currently, it's £97. So, but this is what you're going to get to learn, right? This is what you're going to get to learn. So let's jump into Luna. We're going to take this data back. We're using the software Trading View. And I'm going to take the data back to down here, right? And often when the market moves like this, right, moves like this, big movement to the downside, there's a particular pattern called ABC, right? It's an ABC zigzag, right? That's the textbook terminology. And this is going from here. And this is important because we're going to look at a live one that looks like it's in this position right now. Again, we can only do probabilities, never certainties. I always put a question mark here before it takes off because you have to have proper risk management, because just because it looks highly probable doesn't mean it's going to unfold as anticipated. And what we do in advance is when you see a potential wave 1, I'm just going to change this to a primary count. In fact, let's just do it as a grand super sec. No, not that one. There was one that just makes it a bit. There we go. That's the one I'm looking for. All right. When we see a wave 1 and wave 2, what we want to do in advance is project where's the likely, right? And it can always overshoot as well. But what's the likely ratios? So there's something called Fibonacci Extensions. I'm just going to quickly show you where it is. In the course, we go to, I think it's lesson 17. No, lesson 16, right? Fibonacci Extensions for wave 3, right? There's a particular ratio, 2 ratios that we want to be aware of. So when you're spotting, because this is where the patience needs to come in, when you spot a potential wave 3 before it takes off, the ratios that you should anticipate is 1.618 and 2.618, which is 162 to 262%. What was that? What does that mean in English? It just means when we measure this wave here, we're going to measure this wave here, this wave here. We're going to measure it, literally measure it. How long is it? And then project from here 162 to 262% of this amount. That's what we're going to be doing, right? And because buying and selling behavior is relatively predictable. This is what Ralph Nelson Elliott figured out in the 1800s with all markets, where there's people, masses of people betting on price, right? That's the name of the game that we're playing here. So here's the two ratios. So now we're going to zoom in like this. These are the two ratios. And it just gives us a ballpark figure ahead of time. And it tells us that this is the most typical. So where the price was down here, which was around, let's just be conservative and call it $5. We're talking about an 8x and a 12x, right? And then let's just unfold the data because this is the main thing that I just wanted to get across. We're looking to identify a potential wave 1 and a wave 2 in advance, and then let the market tell us what's going to happen. And what happened with this, like Luna, at this point here is coming up, bang. There we had a little bit of a breakout, but then it just took off. Like it really took off. So I'm just going to pull it up here, like so. And then, because when a market takes off, because the key point, like this was the all-time high of Luna over here. We're going to be aware of this particular resistance zone, because if it breaks past this, that's when the market gets really optimistic. It's just like it's finding its new ceiling, and there's like just sky, so it's just going to more than likely fly up. And we're looking ideally to get in down here, because if you can get down here when it's undervalued before the rocket takes off, you're gonna make more upside movement. You can get risk-free earlier and so on and so forth. So right, bang! Since it broke that, it just went vertical, right? It just went just parabolic, right? It found some resistance over here at the 1.618. Now at this time, we wouldn't have known that this would have looked like a potential wave 3 high over here, a potential wave 4, and then we could kind of reevaluate. But what happened with Luna? Like it just really took off, didn't it? It just like really we just went boom, took off, right? And it smashed past this 2.618. But here, then it looks like this will be the wave 3 high. But what happened next was just unreal. Like it just flew up. You know, this is what you call it's panic buying. Panic buying. And these are hard to predict. That's why you can have something called trailing stop losses, where you can trail the stop loss on these swing lows. But when it overextends like this is, you know, we're going to see a correction at some point soon. So let me just pull this back up. Just want to get rid of this ratio over here. Right, so we can deduce that there's been no real correction in comparison to the wave 2. And wave 4s and wave 2s are quite similar. So we're anticipating, like we could think this is a wave 4, this could be a potential wave 4, but we haven't really had like a big correction. Now we're looking back in hindsight, because what happened was that we then had, well, like an A, B, C movement with Luna over here. And I just want to talk about this, because this happens quite frequently. Is when you see a clean A, B, C correction, which is comparable to the wave 2, this is likely going to be a low. And what you can do over here, and we're going to zoom into this, is the way we're looking for an ABC correction, you can look for a retest called an ABC. And that's where we're going to finish today. And then I'm going to show you something that's looking similar to Luna. Powerhouse project is actually a large market cap, and which means it's a lower risk when it's a large market cap. So over here, Luna moved up. And sometimes it's hard to buy the bottom over here, but you can allow the market to move up and then have a retest. And when you see a retest in an ABC structure, is often a good time to potentially look at a setup. So obviously this is in hindsight. So we want to look at projects with foresight now. So now just look at this, going, this looks like a wave 4 low. But what do we have here? We have this structure forming again, this A, B, C style structure. And you could do something like have a strategy where you buy on the swing high. And because when you see a 5-wave structure like this forming, what we can do ahead of time is we can project where's the high probability end of wave 5 target likely to be. And this is what we can look at. I'm going to show you this. I'm going to show you one of the simplest ones that I found, which was external retracements. Powerful tool. I call it the intermediate level, and we want end of wave 5 external retracements. And there's 2 key ratios that's in the course that really you just see them repeat again and again and again, 162 to 127%. So literally what we're going to do is we're just going to take a retracement tool. We're going to go from the wave 3 high to the wave 4 low. And now with Luna, because this is what we're going to take into account, how much high probability movement is left in Luna, well, this is a particular ratio. There's another ratio as well that's called an extension. We're going to measure wave 1 to wave 3, project it from what looks like this wave 4. And the key ratios is 38, 62, and 100%. So what we've really got over here is, we can ignore this one, is we've got these two zones, these two price zones for a potential wave 5 high. We got this one over here, and we got this one over here. So I don't believe now is the right time to buy Luna. Why? Because at this point down here, if you manage to project this in advance and saw, okay, there's a good upside potential from $50 to around $150, talking about a 3x. But the ideal would have been obviously down here when we were doing the video back in August and May. Down here, ride this wave, taking profits up here. We would have probably more than likely have taken a lot of profits over here, because this part was an overextension, but we had this clean ABC correction, a micro ABC correction here. But this is what we're looking at in hindsight, because I know what happened next, because we saw it at the beginning. But let's just unfold the data, and then I'm going to show you one in advance. So bang, we've got that breakout. This is a position where you could have bought with the stop loss down here if you're using a stop loss feature. And then, oh my God, it just took off, right? Look at that. Just beautiful. That's just phenomenal. Yeah, so I would expect some type of correction soon, because again, when we're looking at this wave structure here, I measure this here to here to here. Where is the 2.618? Is in that region. And Luna has a habit of overextending. So I wouldn't be overly surprised. And then we should see some type of pullback and then a movement probably to this upper region. So then you can go, is it worth my time for a 2x, 3x, or not even a 2x, maybe a 2x or maybe a 50%? But this is a high market cap, right? What is Luna? Luna is, let's have a quick glance. Luna, I mean, after today, after the last few days, let's just see what the market cap is. The volume should be pretty high. It's a top 7. Jeez, got to the top 10. Amazing, right? It's a $34 billion market cap with a $5 billion trading volume, which is 15% of its market cap. Absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. But right now, when I look to buy this right now, I go, unless you're doing like short-term trading, I would look for a pullback over here. So what's one that looks like, which hasn't really taken off yet? It has taken off kind of, and from one angle, but what we want to look at is there any projects that are looking like they're in this wave 2 zone? And if the whole market optimism really takes off, because some optimism coming back into Bitcoin in terms of its price action and buying behavior, and stuff that likely is going to do this kind of stuff. Well, I did a video not that long ago, and the token that you want to really look at and take seriously is this one. This one here is Valas. Valas is a layer 1 solution. It's a fast blockchain. It's a fork of Solana. It's sponsors of Ferrari. So they got, but it's a big cap. This is not a small cap. Like Valas is a layer 1 solution. So it's going to be a competitor to, Ethereum and others alike. But it's functioning. And they're building quite aggressively. And they just launched their major infrastructure project on Valas blockchain called Valero DAO, which is the maker DAO on the Valas. And what am I looking at here? I'm looking at the market cap is 500 million, so it's not small. It's 114 in terms of rank, and its trading volume is quite low. Like its trading volume is 8 million, which is less than 1%. Is that right? Yeah, or 1.5% of its market cap under the radar. But recently it had like an explosive move to the upside not that long ago, which was this. And that just shows it's got eyeballs. But look at this, A, B, C correction, right? When we're looking at that and we go back to Luna, what do you see down here? It was an A, B, C correction. Now, this was when it was April, May, when Bitcoin was dipping. Like Bitcoin was going for a very tough time in May. Let's even just look at Bitcoin actually. May 21st, right? May 21st. If I just jump into a Bitcoin chart. And if I go to May 21st in Bitcoin, May 21st is roughly is here, right? Bitcoin was going through this amazing correction, right? On the downside, right? It was going very down. And that's when Luna was going down also, right? And then it went right away down here, and then we got this reversal. And then when Bitcoin kind of bottomed out and down here, which was around July 22nd, and had this, it was around 4 or 5 months of sideways to up and quite aggressive sideways to up. But this was like July 18th. Luna, when it was doing that, July 18th was around here, right? And you can see the correlation. You can see the correlation with the optimism, and it had this last pump, and Bitcoin topped out around here, and this had this last pump over here. So there is a correlation. So now I want to look at projects that haven't taken off yet. Can we get on the rocket ship before it takes off? So I've been looking at closely at Valas, and one of the lessons in my course is just one of the basic lessons on Fibonacci. Is I want to show you this. It's the macro, intermediate, and micro. So it's lesson 3. Lesson 3 in the intermediate level in Elliott waves. And what I wanted to show was wave counts within the wave counts. So when I'm looking at Valas, right, Luna looks more like it's coming towards this section, right? With Valas, it looks like an A, B, C forming of a wave 2 in this structure. And these are predictable patterns that tend to occur in advance, and we want to be hyper aware of that. And again, if you want to take my free Elliott Fibonacci Masterclass, it's in the link below. I literally cover all of this at a very high level. But if you want access to the course, you also get an invite to my private Telegram. We do workshops. Got one today. We did one on the weekend. We're just adding more and more value to make sure you got this information so you can leverage these patterns if and when they show. But again, there's always probabilities and never certainties. And even with Valas, I'm anticipating that we'll get a slightly lower low, like a low below this. That's most typical in this region. If we do, then that's a high probability region for a trend reversal, especially that is going to be retesting this previous low as well. And then what price action I anticipate, because this is a fork of Solana, and Solana did this as well. When we pegged the Solana one back in June, July last year, similar time of Luna, is we're looking at 91 cents to $1.40. That's around 10x. It's a 10x for a top, almost a top 100 cryptocurrency to do a 10x. That's going to take it, into the top 50. What would that be? Let's just say it got to a $5 billion market cap. Let's just have a look. If assuming that the others didn't take off as well, $5 billion market cap would take any cryptocurrency into position number roughly around top 30, potentially top 30 coin that we're looking at here, but it's currently ranked 114. So what we're talking about really is if we consider this, because what wave 2s are from a psychological standpoint, right? Because what we're measuring really is the psychological mood of the price action. And what wave 2s are is an extreme retest of the wave 1 low. Like when this began, a wave 2 is an extreme retest. And the news often here is worse than over here in the world, right? And we know we're going for some tough news at the moment. But this often acts as a launch pad, right? When I mean, like not launch pads like IDOs, but like a platform. It acts as a platform for the price to springboard and rocket off, right? That's what wave 2s are from a psychological standpoint. And when we look at Luna, and I want to loop this, and we look at it like this, when we got this wave 2 over here, it was a retest of this, and it was in that 78.6% region, and it acted like a launch pad, like a platform for Luna to take off, right? Take off, and boy, did it take off. Like, that was just absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. So will Valas do that? Well, only time will tell, but this is the whole point. We're making decisions based on probabilities, never certainties, but we're making them ahead of time. And we have to make the decisions today of what we assume may happen tomorrow. But that's where the risk comes in, your risk management comes in. You have to do your proper risk management and just take full responsibility for whatever the outcome happens. But again, there's no guarantees, but this looks like a classic A, B, C of a wave 2 for a high cap. And if it does, if being the operative word, then usually these are the two typical zones. With Valas, it did overshoot So it's got a habit of overshooting. So we want to be aware of that. So I wouldn't be overly surprised over the weeks and months to come if we saw something similar. And you'll notice with Luna, it didn't take off straight away. It was sideways, 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 a bit up. And as soon as it went past this, and then it had this point here, and then it just even exploded. And just look at that vertical movement. That is just insane. That is absolute, beauty, especially if you manage to pick up on this ABC correction down here. But again, that ship has taken off. That rocket has sailed, and it's launched. We don't need to really, yeah, I wouldn't chase this. Even if it does overextend, the upside probability is in this region over here. Whereas with Valas, I go, well, the upside is almost just up here. So then I go, okay, Valas is what I want to lean towards. And there's others as well. But this is what we're looking at. So there you have it. There you have it. That's the one that I'm looking at. I'm hoping it drops more. I'm hoping it gets to 14, 15 cents with the psychological mood of typical patterns. And if it does, to see what kind of risk management we can hold there. So like, subscribe, hit the bell notification, take the free Elliott Wave and Fibonacci Masterclass. I built it for you so you can really get a high level of thinking on these typical patterns that unfold time and time again. So let's finish on a quote today. Let's finish on one of my favorites. It's chapter 1. You must be in it to win it. This one is from Mr. Michael Jordan. I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I've failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed. It's about learning curve, and we're playing crypto tennis here, and taking losses and taking, failures on the chin is a part of the game. It's a zero-sum game, and we need to make sure we're playing it with our eyes fully open and looking ahead. But this is why we're putting the teaching together, because we're on this $1 trillion trend right now called blockchain and cryptocurrency, and it's a 20-year trend. We're almost at the very beginning, even though it's 12 years young, we're at the very beginning, and it's to keep on learning, upskilling yourself, learn to read the markets, learn other things about the projects as well, because there's loads of factors, but I like to keep things as simple as possible. So like, subscribe, hit the bell notification. I appreciate you, and I'll see you soon.